Do you find it hard to maximize Tanjiro's skills? Is it hard for you to activate his ultimate Hinokami Kagura? Or do you often get short in energy while casting your skills? Well then, stick to the video, because this video is for you. Tanjiro is one of the best fighters in the game because of his mobility, crowd control, and of course, damage. Even with tank builds, Tanjiro can still deal good damage because of his 6 different skills and ultimate. And in this video, you will learn Tanjiro's skill sets, skill combos to maximize all 6 skills, recommended builds, and some tips and tricks on how to use Tanjiro effectively. So without further ado, let's start with the video.
Legendary! Double kill!
Tanjiro's passive is called Water Surface Slash, where it enhances the next basic attack for 5 seconds after casting a skill. This mark indicates that the passive is activated, meaning the next basic attack is enhanced. Also, you will know if his passive is activated if you see his sword flowing with water. The enhanced basic attack lets Tanjiro to dash towards the target enemy, dealing physical damage, restoring energy, and regenerating 60 to 200 HP at max level. Let's take a look. Now let's proceed to Tanjiro's first skill. Tanjiro has 2 phases of his first skill. The first skill 1, called Striking Tide, and first skill 2, called Drop Ripple Thrust Curve. For his first skill 1, called the Striking Tide, Tanjiro swings his sword twice in front of him, dealing physical damage to enemies each swing. And once the skill hits the target, Tanjiro gains a barrier that can absorb 300 damage. After casting Striking Tide, it will then be replaced with the first skill 2, called Drop Ripple Thrust Curve. With this skill, Tanjiro quickly thrusts his sword forward, dealing physical damage to enemies and slowing them for 50% for 1 second. Now for his second skill. Tanjiro's second skill also has 2 phases. The second skill 1 is called Whirlpool, and the second skill 2 is called Waterfall Basin. For his second skill 1, called Whirlpool, Tanjiro creates a whirlpool around him, dealing physical damage to enemies and stunning them for 0.5 seconds. At the same time, Whirlpool will absorb enemies within its range and reduces their movement speed by 50% for 1 second. Also take note that Whirlpool can suck in more than 1 enemy as long as it is within its range, so it is important to utilize it wisely during 5v5 clashes. After casting Whirlpool, it will be replaced with second skill 2, called Waterfall Basin, where Tanjiro creates a waterfall in a target area, dealing physical damage to enemies and knocking them airborne for 0.75 seconds. Now let's move on to his third skill. Same with the other skills, Tanjiro's third skill also has 2 phases. The third skill 1, called Water Wheel, and the third skill 2, called Flowing Dance. For his third skill 1, called Water Wheel, Tanjiro creates a water wheel and strikes the target area, dealing physical damage. And after casting Water Wheel, it will be replaced with third skill 2, called Flowing Dance, where Tanjiro dashes to a target direction, dealing physical damage along the path. And within this duration, Tanjiro will become untargetable or immune to damage and crowd controls. In this clip, look how I was able to dodge Ichigo's attack using Flowing Dance, where I managed to cast the skill before the attack hits me. Also take note that Tanjiro's third skills can pass through walls, but with limitations. You cannot pass through with thicker walls. And just a quick tip, guys. There's a way on how to know if you can pass through a specific wall or not. Just look at the tip of the arrow when casting your skill. If the tip passes through the wall, meaning Tanjiro can pass through that wall. But if the arrow didn't pass through, meaning it's out of range, and Tanjiro cannot pass through that wall. So, it is important to know these limitations in order for you to maximize Tanjiro's third skills effectively. Now let's proceed to Tanjiro's ultimate. His ultimate also has two phases, the ultimate skill 1, called Constant Flux, and ultimate skill 2, called Hinokami Kagura, Dance. For his ultimate skill 1, called Constant Flux, Tanjiro unleashes 5 swings that each deal physical damage and knocks back the target. Also, when casting this skill, Tanjiro will gain Endure, or immunity to crowd controls. For the ultimate skill 2, called Hinokami Kagura Dance, Tanjiro swings his sword 5 times, dealing physical damage and knocking back enemies. It also applies Scorch to enemies for 2 seconds and dealing magic damage every second. Also, when casting this skill, Tanjiro gains Endure and reduces received damage by 30%. Unlike other skills, you can only choose either one of Tanjiro's 2 phases of ultimate skills, and it's best to utilize the red ultimate because it deals more damage, as you can see in this clip. As you can see, Hinokami Kagura deals more damage, so it's best to maximize this skill when using Tanjiro. And to maximize Hinokami Kagura, you need to get 4 breathing marks, which Tanjiro gets every time he hits his skills with a character. This icon means you have gained 1 breathing mark, and it will last for 8 seconds. And upon gaining 4 marks, Constant Flux is immediately replaced with Hinokami Kagura Dance. That means you need to hit 4 consecutive skills first to activate Hinokami Kagura, which we will be talking about in the next chapter. But before that, take note that Hinokami Kagura has a combo effect, and that is, if Nezuko casts Blood Demon Art Exploding Blood within 1,000 yards, Hinokami Kagura will enter Exploding Blood mode, inflicting true Scorch to enemies for 2 seconds and dealing true damage per second. And that concludes Tanjiro's skill sets. Now let's proceed to his skill combos. There are 2 combos I recommend for Tanjiro. The first combo is the basic combo, and the second combo is ideal for reaching far enemies. Let's start with the first combo. This is the basic combo for Tanjiro, and it's what I usually use in killing enemies. Here's how you can initiate this combo. Make sure all skills will hit the enemies. First use your first skill, and then basic attack, and then first skill again, then basic attack, then second skill, and another basic attack, and then second skill again, basic attack, and then ultimate. After ultimate, if the enemy is still alive, then you can use your third skill to chase the enemy and finish him off. As you can observe, every time I use a skill, I always follow up with a basic attack. This is to utilize Tanjiro's passive, which enhances its basic attack, recovers energy, and restores HP. The energy restored is the most important because it's what keeps us to continuously use our skills. So always practice to do a basic attack after casting a skill when using Tanjiro. Here are some actual gameplay clips on how I use this combo.
Enemy killing spree. An enemy has dominating. Down. An enemy has been slain. Successfully seized the giant crew. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
An enemy has been slain.
Now let's move on to the second combo. This combo is good for reaching far enemies, or if you think your first skill can't reach the enemies. To initiate this combo, we'll start with the third skill, then basic attack, and then second skill, and basic attack, and second skill again, then basic attack, and then first skill, basic attack, then first skill, basic attack, and ultimate. If the enemy is still alive, then you can use the remaining third skill to chase the enemy and finish him off. Also take note that you can interchange the second skills with first skills or vice versa. After using third skill, if you think you can't reach the enemy with second skill, then you can use your first skill to make sure you hit your skills with the enemy. So in conclusion, it will still depend on the situation and in your instincts. So just play and play. Practice Tanjiro until you master when and how to effectively use his skills. Here are some actual gameplay clips on how I use this combo.
Your team has destroyed the turret. An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
Shut down. An enemy has been slain.
An enemy has been slain.
Monster kill.
Your turret has been destroyed.
If you like this video, guys, then please do hit like and subscribe. Also ring the notification bell for more jump assemble tutorial and gameplay videos. And now let's talk about the item builds. Just a disclaimer, guys, the build that I will recommend is not absolute. Of course, you can create and experiment your own build that will work for you. This build is what works for me, and it suits my playstyle. In the end, it will always depend on the situation, game updates, and of course, your playstyle. So for this build, I recommend the Exorcism Straw Sandals for the boots, for it gives you additional magic defense, and most of all, it reduces the crowd control duration by 35%, which is very important for Tanjiro, because Tanjiro needs to avoid crowd controls in order for you to continuously use your skills. For the second item is the Execution Great Axe. This item increases your movement speed every time you hit your skills with an enemy. Aside from additional physical attack damage, it also gives you physical penetration, cooldown reduction, and additional HP. The third item is Frosting Hands. This item is both for defensive and offensive. It gives you physical defense and also enhances your basic attack after you use a skill. It also reduces enemies' attack speed and movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. And take note that the effect of this item can be triggered once every 4 seconds. Now for the fourth item, I recommend the Blazing Battle Armor. This is another defensive item which also deals additional damage. This item deals magic damage equal to 1.5% of your max HP to surrounding target every second. Also, Blazing Armor charges 1 stack per second when dealing damage to surrounding enemies, and when the stack reaches up to 5 stacks, it releases a shockwave to nearby enemies and dealing magic damage. And for our last 2 items, this will be another defensive items which can be replaceable depending on your needs. But for me, I suggest you build the Millennium Armor for more survivability, and the Meditation Cloak for additional magic defense. As you can observe, I'm more focused on building defensive items on Tanjiro, and the reason for that is that Tanjiro can already deal good damage to burst squishy enemies if his combos are initiated perfectly. Also, Tanjiro's combo takes time to initiate. That's why it's best to build defensives for more sustainability. Also take note that the two items Frosting Hands and Blazing Battle Armor scales with HP. The higher the HP, the higher the additional damage they deal. So in this build, it's best to buy more defensives to increase your HP. It's like hitting two birds with one stone. You're increasing your sustainability while also increasing your additional damage. And that concludes our item builds. But before we end this video, I'm gonna share to you some tips and tricks in using Tanjiro. Tip number 1. Flash plus ultimate combination. For those who don't know yet, you can cast the battle skill Flash while your ultimate is still casting. This may be needed if your enemies happen to get away from your ultimate and you want to chase him. And also, if you want to reposition yourself while your ultimate is skill casting to find a better target. Tip number 2. Utilize your third skill wisely. I recommend you use the third skill 1 for offensive and the third skill 2 for defensive. What I mean by that is that practice using your third skill 1 only for reaching far enemies when initiating your combo, then save the third skill 2 for emergency escape plan if you need to retreat. But of course, it may differ in every situation, so use it wisely. Tip number 3. Use bushes for your advantage. When using Tanjiro, try to maximize the bush by hiding yourself and plan for a surprise attack to effectively use your combo. Concealing yourself to bushes will give you some advantages. First, it will make your enemies out of position, especially when they are not aware you are hiding near them, and also when they are not being careful when rotating around the map. Another advantage is that hiding in bushes will give you less time appearing on map. This will make you harder to gank, because enemies can't easily predict your exact position.
Our turret is under attack.
Tip number 4. Prioritize squishy heroes. Tanjiro's mobility can easily reach the back lanes. That's why it's best to maximize this advantage during clashes. So in clashes, make sure you look for the backlaners like the rangers, mages, or even junglers. But I suggest you prioritize the rangers first to prevent them from getting a free hit during clashes. And if initiated perfectly, you can easily kill a ranger using your combos. Also, it's an advantage for the team if you can burst quickly even one backlaners during clashes. It will give your team the upper hand during 5v5 clashes. And that concludes our Tanjiro tutorial. Since you finished this video, then your Tanjiro gameplay will surely improve. And if you like this video guys, then please do hit like and subscribe. Also ring the notification bell for more jump assemble tutorial and gameplay videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.